It was exciting for 81 seconds.
Brian, you said to me last week you were setting your standards low, and anything above 3 you'd be happy with. Now, looking at
I think I got 3, didn't I?
Looking at my calculations, you got 3.
But only needed a wee swing, 1 goal here, 1 goal there, you know.
Okay, well, don't beat yourself up about it too much. We've got another week of fixtures to get it right, so let's see how you get on this week. Hello and welcome to another edition of Premier League Predictions with Gambling.com. My name's Matthew Christ from the panel, and also on the panel, as he is this week and every week, is 4-time Premier League winner Brian McClair, who's full of cold, but we'll let him off at this time of year. Brian, you said to me last week you were setting your standards low, and anything above 3 you'd be happy with. Now, looking at
I think I got 3, didn't I?
Looking at my calculations, you got 3. So you know, if you
I was going to swear there. Actually, it was a tough time for trying to predict. But I mean, who would have thought about the games at Newcastle and the games at City? But also, they only needed, and I know it's a bit of a this kind of thing, but only needed a wee swing, 1 goal here, 1 goal there, you know. My old favourites, Everton, you know, they managed to not quite get one, and Villa could have got one, so it could have changed things completely all the way around. But yeah, I'm disappointed in my my output on my predictions.
Okay, well, don't beat yourself up about it too much. We've got another week of fixtures to get it right, so let's see how you get on this week. And we've got Friday night game this week down on the South Coast. It's Brighton versus Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton have lost their last 9 away in the Premier League. Aston Villa were the last to lose 10 in the Premier League away from home. Brighton are unbeaten at home in this campaign. 3 wins and 3 draws. Brighton 2, Southampton 0.
Okay, and takes us on to Saturday. No early game Saturday, so straight into the 3 o'clock games, and it's Brentford Leicester to kick us off.
Well, it looks as though Leicester are going to have a new manager. If he is looks so Ruud van Nistelrooy, it's going to be appointed perhaps today, and he may well be bringing some other people with him to be part of his staff. So there's a good chance he may be involved in the game at the weekend. I suppose everybody would be expecting that there'll be a bounce, like happened when he took over as caretaker coach at Manchester United. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to be in the dugout. I mean, the coach Ben Dawson may well be given the chance to take the team for this game. Leicester players in the news for being at a Christmas party immediately after the defeat last week. Not quite sure in the kind of logic when teams are struggling to be seen to be celebrating any event, never mind Christmas. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction that their supporters give them when they play at the weekend. Brentford have faced Leicester 4 times in the Premier League and not won any, drawn 2 and lost 2. But this is where the goals are. Brentford, plenty of goals there, and I'm going to go for plenty of goals in this one. Brentford 3, Leicester 2.
Okay, next up it's Crystal Palace versus Newcastle.
Newcastle have won once in the last 9 visits to Selhurst Park, drawing 5 and losing 3. Palace have only scored 3 goals at home. With those things in mind, I'm going to go for a Newcastle win. Palace to increase their goals by 1, and Newcastle to score twice.
Okay, that would ease the pressure somewhat on Eddie Howe if he's under pressure. I mean, he's had a couple of good results and a couple of bad results, so who knows. But let's move on now. It's Forest versus Ipswich.
Well, Ipswich are winless in the last 14 league games at the City Ground, last winning in 1999. Could I be putting the hoodoo on it again, as Forest did when they went to Liverpool early on in the season? Forest are unbeaten in the last 8 Premier League games versus promoted teams. They've won 5 and drawn 3 of those games. Forest 1, Ipswich 0.
Okay, and finally, the last of the 3 o'clock games, it's Wolves versus Bournemouth.
Well, would you believe Bournemouth subs have scored more goals than any other Premier League team this campaign so far? Their subs have chipped in with 5 goals and 5 different goal scorers also. Wolves, incredibly, have scored in their last 11 Premier League games, the joint longest run in the competition. So expecting goals in this game. Wolves 2, Bournemouth 1.
Righto. And finally, the 5:30 game, the tea time game, and it's, well, you guessed it, it's a London derby, and it's West Ham, who got a good result up at Newcastle on Monday night against rejuvenated Arsenal, who might see themselves as the sole contenders for the title with Liverpool the way things are going.
I mean, I think it's a bit early to say that, of course, but Arsenal have lost only one of the last 16 Premier League games versus the Hammers. Have won 10 and drawn 5. And West Ham have lost more Premier League games overall and at home to Arsenal than any other team in the Premier League. 36 overall and 15 at home. I think that's going to be 16 at the weekend. West Ham 1, Arsenal 3.
Well, we will see. And that takes us up to the half-time break. We're going to change ends and grab a quick drink and a quick team talk, and we'll be right back after this break. Hello and welcome back to Premier League Predictions with myself, Matthew Christ, and Brian McClair alongside me. We're into the second half of this week's predictions, and we start a mammoth day of football on Sunday with the 1:30 games, and there's 3 of them. And the first one up is Chelsea versus Aston Villa. Brian, what do you see here?
Well, Villa came from behind to draw at home to stop that run of defeats they'd had Emery's worst run. Clearly, because I'd tipped them to win, I was hoping that they would score another goal and improve my form. Chelsea are third after the recent fixtures. They've got a bit of a habit of conceding penalties, 4, the most in the Premier League this season, include that one in injury time at Leicester. However, I think that Chelsea's form will continue, scoring goals and winning games. Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 1.
Okay, you think the struggles might continue for Villa the way it's going?
I just think that Chelsea are playing very well, although there is encouragement, not just with regards to the mistakes that the Chelsea defence are making in the penalty area. It's given the opposition these 4 penalties, but their goalkeeper isn't at the moment in the best of form either, so I think there's some encouragement there. However, I just think that Chelsea will score more than they concede at the moment, which is great if you're a Chelsea fan. Great for attacking football and goal-scoring football. So I think Chelsea will just be good enough at the weekend.
Okay, well, next up we've got a fascinating game here. We've got the club who you spent many happy and successful years with, Manchester United, at home to a team that you've been tipping and praising and jinxing for most of the season.
They didn't lose, did they? I mean, like I was saying, it was one of the few games that I was present at last season, was this fixture where Everton, for me, were the better team, dominated the whole fixture, but couldn't convert any of the chances they had. And then ended up losing the game 2-0. I think they've been very disappointed in that. And then also, I mean, as I say, I predicted them to win their home game again, and then it became even more of a disappointment, I suppose, not only for me tipping them, but obviously for the blue side of Merseyside, in that they're playing against 10 men for, best part of 50 minutes, 27 shots, but again, that statistic we mentioned before, no goals, but another point that I'm supposed to be welcoming. Some situation they're going to score goals, but not at Old Trafford for me on Sunday, and I'm going to go for that same scoreline as it was last year. Yeah, United 2, Everton 0.
It's early days under Amarin. We saw him the first game against Ipswich. Do you think there's anything you can take from that?
It was exciting for 81 seconds, and then it was. Man United haven't had much of a record recently of scoring goals early on, particularly not that early on. So there was great excitement in the crowd from the away fans, and just to get such a and you would say, well, the system, the way that he set out with the three at the back. Although I think that over time the personnel will change, but putting Ahmad in the right wing back position worked right away by him, using his pace to get away from the Ipswich defenders, and a beautiful ball into the box where Rashford playing as a centre forward. Although I see that Amarim has said he's not expecting him that to be his position, scores a goal, and everybody again, as I say, is feeling very positive. But after that, it was back to the same thing. You're looking at a team who's just been promoted with players who were not long ago playing in the League One, dominating the game. And if it wasn't for United's goalkeeper, they would have won. And that was that. I mean, so an awful lot of work to be done. I was pleased about the comment that he's made that he thinks that the players are not fit enough. I don't think he's got the time to get them fit. Pre-season is the time to be able to do that, but the players who are not playing are going to be working hard. And also he said that because of the fixtures coming up, and in one way it's good, the European games, they've got a cup game against Tottenham and all the other league fixtures throughout December, that he's going to do some rotation, and he may well change the system because of whatever players he decides is going to play, which makes pretty sense. So we'll wait to see what he decides to do at the weekend.
Yeah, very much work in progress, but we will see what happens in his first game in charge at Old Trafford on Sunday against Everton. And one more 1:30 game on Sunday. It's the second London derby of the weekend. It's Tottenham at home to Fulham.
Well, I mean, again, for me, incredibly, considering previous results. Although I should have been surprised to say that because Wolves have scored in every game, that Fulham were well beaten in the end by a rampant Wolves team in their home fixture. And Spurs completely outmanoeuvred Manchester City. This isn't it, as I mentioned in the game before, that Spurs have now scored at least twice now in the last 4 visits to City's ground. An incredible result and a great performance in the sense of carrying out the tactics that Postecoglou adopted for this particular game. 4-0, I mean, that's an incredible result, really. But maybe not, considering that the form that City have been in. With regards to that, I think that Spurs will continue with that on Sunday, and I expect them to be in the goals again. Spurs 3, Fulham 1.
Yeah, I can see that the way Tottenham are playing. And you mentioned that result at City last week. I can't claim that you predicted it, but you did say that Tottenham love playing there and often score goals there. So I'll give you half a point for
thanks.
that.
So kind of you. Yeah, so
No
if
problem.
we're taking some kind of idea of Tottenham with 2 goals of a start, either in the wouldn't you? So you're doing very well.
Well, we've touched on Man City. Now we come to the final game of the weekend, the big game this weekend. It's Liverpool against City at Anfield. I remember when Liverpool played Arsenal, I said to you, is it too early to call this a title decider? I'm going to ask you the same question here.
Well,
is it too early to call it a title decider?
I mean, I don't think it's a title decider, but it's certainly going to make a big difference to the games. Really, I mean, like City have been defending so poorly. 7 goals in the last 2 games at home, so and then really basic silly mistakes, but they seem to be getting punished. In order to win things, particularly to win championships, you need to defend well and not concede goals, and everybody seems to be confident they're going to score against City. There's a possibility that 11 points of a gap, which there would be between Liverpool and City, would be too much to overcome. However, I think it's too early in the season really to be absolutely sure about that. Liverpool last week showed their, I suppose, the kind of form you would expect potential champions to be in, to be a difficult game in difficult conditions at Southampton, ending up a goal down. And did I mention Salah before that game? I'm not sure if I did. And then, of course, it was controversial with regards to the penalty that secured the 3 points for Liverpool. But for the game, big game at the weekend, I suppose, or definitely on Sunday, I'm going to buck it and I'm going to go for Liverpool 1, City 2.
Well. I mean, I don't know who you jinxed there, but it was. I think it would certainly be. I think it would certainly be good for the title race if this is a title decider.
Well, I just feel that City, they can't afford to lose this game really. So they've got to come out with some. Guardiola's got to have some plan. The players have got to perform to that plan, and if they do so, they may well be in a situation where they can win the game.
Yeah, I think everybody's waiting for some kind of reaction or rebound, but we've been waiting for that for the last 5 weeks. So if there is a rebound,
think that's maybe the game in order to do that? Otherwise, I say 11 points maybe just far too much for them.
It's going to have to be. I mean, talking about this 11-point gap, I was thinking there when you were talking. I remember you being involved in a season like this, 95-96, when Newcastle went off and they were 11 points clear at Christmas and you eventually reeled them in. I imagine you must have been in the mindset of just got to hope that they're going to have a slip and just keep winning, and which is essentially what City are going to have to do if this gap does come.
Well, City have to go back to winning, which they haven't been doing at all. I mean, Liverpool are winning and playing some good football and also overcoming difficult situations like they did in the last fixture. So, I mean, it could easily go either way, the win for either team, or a lot of people would imagine would choose to go for a draw. But I just think that City, the onus is on them to get something out of this game. So otherwise, it's just going to be very, very difficult for them to overcome that. Yes, it has happened before, but as I say, you can't discount City at this moment in time, and they will have an influence anyway over this season, because they're not going to have don't imagine they would have a patch that they're having, or the form that they've been in recently. They have to change.
I guess the thing is, though, they're going to have to hope that Liverpool lose at least 3 or 4 games, which isn't looking likely. Again, you were in that position in 95-96. Was it just a case of thinking, well, we just keep trying to win our games and hope that the wheels come off Newcastle as it was then? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you've just got to keep trying doing your own thing. You've just got to get back to winning. Maybe the win though to change things for them will come in Liverpool at the weekend.
Well, I will end by saying what I always say: we shall see. And thanks for joining us, Brian. We look forward to seeing how you get on this weekend. Hopefully, a little better than last weekend. Don't forget to leave your comments to say whether you agree with Brian, whether you disagree, whether he's jinxed your team or if he's going to jinx your team. And we'll see you again soon. See you then.